Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nunu Waco Show. This is the season wrap up, and I'm wrapping it up with one of my favorite subjects in the whole world, and that is flowers. And I'm sitting here to discuss everything flower design, what it means, because we have it in our lifestyle every day when our babies are born, when our sisters and brothers are married, when we're celebrating someone, if anything, school graduation. And I have Bemnet here from Faith Flowers here in Maryland, USA, to tell me everything about flowers. But before we get started with the flowers, I want to know what you are, who you are, what made you the woman you are today. So tell me a little bit about you and your childhood in Ethiopia.
Thank you. Yes, actually I was born in Djibouti, but don't ask me about Djibouti, I don't know nothing.
Okay.
And then raised in Ethiopia and Athens, Greece. So I went elementary in Athens, Greece.
Okay. So how long were you in Ethiopia before you went to Athens?
Up until probably 10, 12 years.
So you have good memories about
Yes.
Ethiopia.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about, just your childhood in Ethiopia.
The childhood in Ethiopia, there's flowers, of course.
Yeah.
But ever since I was young, I always into flowers, and I see people's neighbor flowers, and I see them, I cut their flowers.
Exactly.
But not until after I went to Athens, Greece, I still my teenager life, and I went back to Ethiopia. And that's
So going
in
back
high
as a
school.
teenager
Mhm.
in Ethiopia, were you a little bit, were there a culture shock because you're going from a Western world to an almost third world country? So how was that for you?
There was a huge culture shock, but and then again, by being, places to places, it teaches us to adapt whatever is the environment there.
Exactly.
So, because whatever that we move as a child, even Athens, Greece was a culture shock for us
Exactly.
in the first place. But since we were with our family, it was easy to adapt. When you're young, you adapt anything that you
Exactly.
go
So
in, yeah.
growing up in Athens, how was that like? Because it's almost like coming to an America, and you have this day and night culture, food, environment, tradition, everything.
Yeah.
So how was school for you in Athens?
School was everything in Greek, and we have to learn because there's a Greek and English section, so we have both combinations, so we have to take Greek and English. But since the children, they're similar to us, they came from different countries, and we were there because my father used to be a diplomat, and that's one of the reasons that we traveled. So it was easy for us because we're not just combined, with only Greek and then we are here, Ethiopians. We have multicultural kids learning in that school, so that was easy, to get along with different cultural backgrounds.
So with that experience, when you went back to Ethiopia, how long did you stay in Ethiopia before you left again?
Yes, I would say about maybe 8 years after that.
So did you go to high school in
High
Ethiopia?
school, yes.
So then how was your high school career in Ethiopia? Because that's something that I never got to experience. So I don't know what it feels to live in Ethiopia.
Yes, it showed me, parts of Ethiopia, and which I will never forget, which I'm really thankful for that. And that's when I discovered I really love flowers at the same time, but I never knew that there's such thing, florists.
Okay.
But my passion as loving nature, dance, art, that's when I developed more in high school in Ethiopia.
So you've always had that creative mind, but you
Yes.
have yet to discover what career path you wanted to pursue.
Yes.
Okay, so what year did you come to America, and at what point did you say, okay, I wanted to be a florist?
Yes, before that we went to West Africa, Abidjan.
Oh my goodness, did you?
Yes.
Oh my God. Tell me a little bit about West Africa. I
West
don't know too many Ethiopians that went to West Africa.
Yeah, West Africa is nice. Like I say, it's a more authentic, and they have, they're the same thing like us, but their culture is something different. Parts European because of they've been colonized by Europeans, so they speak French most of the time because that ours is different. Being in Ethiopia is very different than anything.
Exactly.
The rest of the African, they have similarities in everywhere, but us.
How was trying to get accustomed to eating the food? Because their
Yes.
food is totally different than ours.
It is different, and they have which is we call acheke and aloko. And those are the things that I liked.
Okay.
Because
What are they?
acheque is kind of like a root, like cocho.
Yes, I love cocho. So
Yeah, but
relate.
it's similar to that type of nature. And then the sauce is, like, of course, fish sauce. Aloco is like a plantain,
Yes,
fried plantain.
Yes.
And
See, I'm a vegetarian, so I'm a sucker for those things.
yes,
and I know
so they're very
in
nice.
English terms, I know what they are.
Fufu is like, still, the plantain, certain things that they use, which I'm not really crazy about it, but, we try and taste. When you go to different countries, you have to be able to...
Absolutely, assimilate into the environment. So,
but in there, I saw a unique flowers, which is exotic flowers.
Wow, is that when you said, okay, this is...
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. Since I love nature and I see different things, and I say, wow, okay, there's a different type of flowers that I never seen before.
Were you going to college at that point?
Yes, in Abidjan Cocody, which is we were studying to become for college, which is called, TOEFL. Preparation, because we knew that we were going to come here.
Oh, okay. So when you came to America, as Africans, we're driven to have certain kind of careers. It's either the lawyer, the nurse, the doctor. So what were you, trying to study at first?
Everybody, when I first came here, they told me to go to study nursing, because those are the main thing that everywhere I go, and that's a good profession. And I said, nursing, I'm really afraid of blood or anything. And they said, you get over it, but you have to study nursing, and that's the main thing. But to me, I discovered what is flower and florist here in America. And as we were walking at DuPont Circle, and I saw this flower shop, and I say, flower, wow, okay, I went in. And I saw a different display of art, and I've seen them at different arrangement, designs, and I say, wow, this is so cool, this is what I want to do. So my passion grew.
Did you make a decision at that point?
Yes.
Did
you
really?
Yes.
And
the flower shop did it.
The only flower shop did it.
DuPont Circle, yeah.
How did your parents take heed to this? It's hard for African parents to say, okay, I'm going to support my daughter in doing something outside of what they believe is a successful career to have.
They say that I can see it as a hobby at first, but they were insist on to major in something, like I say, nursing or that nature, or maybe computer fields, which I did start while I was in the flower shop. Never
You're better than me, because I was totally against my father pushing me to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I went all the way, certain way, like a year, but then again I knew the flower part started growing even larger, and so I got this job, and it's called Lee's Flower Shop in Washington, D.C. They're African American owned, and the first flower shop in Washington, D.C., black or white owned.
Wow.
So from there...
That's history.
Yes.
So you not only discovered your career, but you ended up working for the only black-owned establishment.
From white or black,
Or black in Washington, D.C., which is the nation's capital.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did that cultivate your creative mind in becoming a florist?
Right there, I discovered myself, and when I touch and feel the flowers, and that's where I knew that I'm going to become a florist. And I tell the owner and says, one day I'm going to have my own shop.
And what did he say at that time?
He's like, okay, but you have to learn a lot. You can't just have flower shop. And I say, no, it's just my dream, my goals, and I start setting goals from there. But the main thing is the education part is what interested me, because I've seen several, they took me to different shows and different artists and just, doing stuff like that. And I say, what? If you guys send me to school, then I'm forever working for you guys. And they say that, what? Now you're learning. This is school. While we're paying you, you're learning.
Exactly.
And I say, what? That's good.
Yeah, the best education to me is the hands-on experience that you get, and not necessarily sitting in a college, classroom with 500 people and trying to grasp what's being said to you by one individual standing in front of you, but getting this authentic hands-on experience and eventually becoming an owner of your own shop, because your dream did come true.
Yes.
Just go to school. What do you go to? I don't know.
Floral Art Institute, and they have a floral design. It's like a part of an art and they have their own school where you major and you have to know how the designs, the elements and the principle of a design. But they didn't stop me there. The main reason I left Lee's Flower Shop because I want to learn more. To me, it became, I say, wait a minute, if you have passion, it can't be just in that one flower shop.
Exactly.
So you have to go out and search for more. So I went to Seattle, Washington, because it was one of the best teachers. She's part of AIFD, and I learned it from her. So I went to learn from the best.
Wow, you went from one coast of Washington, D.C., which is the
8
capital,
hours flight just to have the education.
The other coast of the United States for education and becoming a florist.
Yes.
Tell me, what does that entail?
It's like science, when you create without knowing, without the chemistry between the colors, textures, line status, all those things, if you don't know, then you'll be designing out of a hobby.
Exactly.
But if you want to become a professionalism skills to develop more, to be respected, then you have to know those elements. What about if you meet somewhere in a huge stage and you're designing something and people see, and there where the professional is going to be your judges and say, does she really know how to design or not? So that's the ability. If you want something, then you have to know what material you were working with and what type of flowers, what's the texture. All those things are very important.
Okay, so what happens to people like me who think, art is an eye of beholder and just go grab flowers that are pretty to me and then put them in a vase? Would that be considered?
You're a flower lover.
I am.
You can. We look at you as
okay, that doesn't count. But it's a very complex career, it seems like, and it takes a lot to tell somebody's story and how they're feeling and the way you put these arrangements together. But what if you go about putting together ambitions? Yes.
Let's say that you're a flower lover and you want to know more about flowers. Let's say the Western, they know more about flowers because they love nature in general. Since they respect nature, they know how different things. They know a good painting when they see one.
Exactly.
That's the knowledge I think everybody should have while we are on Earth. So in order to admire art. So for the flower part, you go look and see different textures. You see how different style. And that gives you a knowledge and say, wait a minute, if somebody puts something together and say, oh wait, because you know what?
I see a lot of arrangements every
and then
day.
You can put,
And I said, oh my God, that is so pretty. How did they think of doing
that?
Exactly.
Yes, because you have the eye, maybe you have the design knowledge, some of it, and then that gives you ability to tell when you see a good art.
Exactly.
So I think that comes from your natural gifted, or you have knowledge somehow about arts.
Okay, so don't tell me more. Before we get too deep into the origination of these flowers, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go. Hello everybody, welcome back to Nunu Waco Show. I'm sitting here talking to Bimnit about the whole concept of being a florist, and I'm learning a lot because there's a whole different complex art that goes into putting these beautiful decorations and arrangements together. And before we went to commercial, you were telling me about, how most of these arrangements originated in the Western world because they have appreciation for nature. So when you were living, I'm going to take you back a little bit to your childhood. When you were living in Athens, Greece, did you see these arrangements? And when you walked into the store here in Washington D.C. in DuPont Circle, did you have a deja vu moment, like, oh my God, I'm back to where I wanted to be to begin with?
And thank you for asking that. In Athens, Greece, mostly what I was admiring is a different nature, which is the art of somebody's sculptures.
There's a lot of them there.
Yes, there are a lot of stones, and they have different, displays of sculptures, and they have a different nature, which is the oceans and all those things I was admiring while I was there. An orange tree, and everywhere. And everywhere is this orange tree,
really?
Yes.
What's the significance of this orange tree?
Something about Portocalos that they believe in. They plant orange.
Okay.
every street you see this orange everywhere, and
Wow.
sometimes literally you can smash an orange right there on the street.
Wow.
So that was something, was, you know, you have your own dream fantasy place to see orange trees everywhere.
Exactly.
So that's what I noticed. But other than that, they have different arts. You know, those are where the poets and different things and the goddess and all those things. And I was too focusing on that while I was in Athens, Greece, because we were learning about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think most of us here in the U.S. learned a lot about those things too.
Yes.
So we know, I know exactly what you're talking about. But in becoming a florist, does that inspire you creatively to, you know, not necessarily put together a sculpture, but arrange your flowers to somewhat, you know, just mimic a sculpture?
Yes, they taught me something, because in the old ancient Greek mythology, flowers, they have meanings. And those meanings, which now that I was a florist, I find out that most of the names and different things come from Greece,
Okay.
Athens, Greece.
So what are some of the flower names? And since you know, I'm just
the names is what they use as secretly, as what they were sending messages in ancient for the goddess.
okay,
And that's where the names come from, most of them.
okay,
You know, and some of them from Irish, like, you know, Iris and everything, and some of them from India, and
Exactly.
different. Yeah, they
so
have
like
different.
here in the U.S. around Valentine's Day, a lot of people give red roses. I'm not really a fan of red at all. Like I do not want anything red.
Right.
Why red for love? Why can't it be pink? Why can't it be yellow? Why can't it be purple, blue? Why red?
Red is passion,
Okay.
and those are the day that you express your passion. Let's say that if you're a person of red, that means you're maybe more passionate, more sensual, and all those things, and that describes love. Red roses describes love.
But I think I'm very passionate, but I just use more of the whites and the pinks and the purples to, you know,
You'll be surprised. Yes, we all are passionate.
Yeah.
But the people that who really love red and put red
The red
lipstick,
lipstick,
those are very sensual and very passionate.
Oh my God.
So we're not that to extent passionate, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'm just
But
not
red
that
represent that, and
Yeah,
those
so-
are the time for love.
Yeah, so most of these flowers come in so many different colors. So what does the different colors mean? Like the yellows and the oranges and the purples. And nowadays you have them in pink, and then colors are combined.
Combined,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, what do those mean?
The variegated one is that just scientifically, when they grow them, they make them variegated, which comes two colors.
Right.
But let's say for orange, and that's friendship. In some country, that's jealousy. In Europe, some of the Europe countries, that's jealousy. Like if somebody's jealous, it's like, here's the orange. I mean, there's the yellow rose. But in here, in America, means friendship, and you give that to your friend.
Okay.
And the pink is gladness, thankfulness. You know, it could be dark or lighter. It could be thankfulness, gladness. Mostly the purple is the royalty color,
Okay.
and normally those are rich. The blue and all those things are royalty colors.
Okay.
And the lavender one is love at first sight, and what we call as the beginning of your love.
Does it necessarily translate to a relationship? Does
Could-
it have to?
Yeah, if you have like love at first sight, of course. You know, it could be just
I'm learning a lot. I
that.
think I've made
It could be a
plenty
secret
mistakes.
admirer could send you that, you know, if he's a secret admirer, and if he loves you for the first sight, and then he can send you the lavender roses and let you know to soften it, rather than the red is bold.
Yeah.
You can't just send
I
red
think
to
that's
the first.
probably why I don't like it, because I'm
Yeah.
not really a bold person.
Yeah.
As outgoing as I am, there's this shy person in me, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot for me to come out. It's, yeah.
And the
Red
man is
just
not
too
supposed
intense for
to,
me.
yeah. A man is not supposed to give the first day that met you red roses. He can start out with a softer color, and when the relationship goes deep, then he can give you the red roses, I think.
So, when you put together arrangements for a wedding, you know, I come to you and say, I want this flower, that flower, and based on your training, you know, you're advising me, saying, no, this and that. So how do you go about putting together arrangements for people for their wedding and engagements and whatever, you know, event that they want you to create arrangements for?
Normally, and most of the Westerns, they go search what color that they want before they come to the florist. And once they find what color it is, and they begin to find out what flower that they like. So they bring me this kind of cut of information of them about themselves, which is easier for us. But if not, we'll help you discover what's really, what's your style, what's your needs and desires, and even in terms of colors, you can literally find out when you come to the flower shop. But most of them, since they do, they come here and they show us, okay, like you say, your favorite color is pink. So we say, okay, pink. What's the accent color? You know, if it is purple, then we can accent it with purple, which is your other favorite color. So the harmony there will be very nice because it tells who you are about yourself. And mostly we go after the bridal bouquet. The bridal bouquet has to say, this is Nunu.
Exactly.
You can't just say,
so
okay,
how does
so-and-so.
the bride determine a bouquet that says, this is me?
One, you have to hold the flowers that you like. For example, you say you like orchids.
Yes.
So that would be, the orchid flower would be you. And then being pink, accented with whatever color, and that represents you. If there is some type of blings that you like, the jewelry, or is that your grandmother gave you certain jewelry that you want to attach to your bridal bouquet, and those tells your personal childhood stories. And that's what is bridal bouquet is.
I had no idea. And I've been a bridesmaid at least like 4 times. And I had no idea what I was holding the whole time.
You don't have to, since you've been a bridesmaid, just you'll be accented to the, you know.
Exactly. I didn't even
but
know
when
my
your day
sister
comes,
was getting married that she was holding a flower that meant something about her. This is really interesting.
But you have to go to that's why, as mostly as on the West, you be able to tell. They let you express yourself.
Exactly.
And the florist, if you are, that's the reason why you have to be professional in doing certain things. Because not only that you're just putting your bouquet together, you're putting something of that person, what it tells, and it tells a story. So I think it's the florist's job in order to find out about the bride and see what, in order to put the art together.
Weddings in Ethiopia, they're not all the time like natural flowers. So then what happens if you're, you know, subjected to choosing from
whatever is there?
Whatever's there, yes.
Thank God I've seen fresh flowers because they start growing roses in there. But the mainly thing that I see is roses. So even though they have meanings, of course, bride probably they want to be expressive in different flowers. Exactly. But at the same time, you have to know what's the meaning and who am I. And still, even if it is roses, you still have to do searches. And roses nowadays is a classic, is they hold the huge meaning.
It does.
So
like, I don't want to get roses just because. Like I want them because it has
they tell a story,
story to it,
they're very classic flowers to me, and they're timeless. So you're using the roses, then you have to still be able to tell, you know, the bride and groom story, even whatever centerpiece that you're putting, the display. It doesn't have to be, especially being influenced in a good way is good, but not in a way that just forget about yourself and just copy another person. That's in a wedding, you don't want to do that.
Exactly.
So whatever so-and-so has in that table doesn't mean that that's your taste. It's all about taste.
So, and how do you help your clients, you know, make sure that they are telling the story of who they are and not the piece of paper that they bring to you?
That's when you go to the professionals. If you go to the professionals, we learn to search what flower is about us.
Exactly.
And God gave that, you know, on earth for us to see ourselves, the beauty of human being as well. You know, if you like flowers and see certain beauty, you see in person, every person is beautiful. So I have to learn what Nunu like, rather than what, oh no, this is what stylish. No, what is she like? And so I can put, even if it is a bunch of small daisies, if that's what you like, I have to create an artistic way to make that event more Nunu, not just about anybody else.
Do you find it difficult to sometimes bring people's vision of how they want their arrangements to look to an actual, you know, life?
Thank you for asking that question, because this is, yes, I meet people that who is really doesn't have no clue what they want, and but yet they give you a hard time to read about their personality. To me, sometimes, not only in flowers or anything, that should be, for us, we have to be easy to be read by somebody.
Exactly.
I think that's very important. Whenever you go somewhere else, you have to be, leave that whatever ego that you have or whatever it is.
Right.
And just because people got to know you.
Exactly.
If they don't know you, how are they going to communicate?
Exactly.
So,
but have you ever had anybody that actually limited your creativity?
Yes.
I'm very liberal.
Yeah.
I come and say, you know what, I like this, that, and the third, but whatever you end up giving me, I'm happy with it. I don't necessarily say, oh no, that's not what I was asking for, because in my own creative ways, I don't want to control somebody else's creative mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but that's a good question that you ask. You have your own style, and the other person says, okay, this is my style. And most Caucasian, they come in with that mind. Say, this is what I want. Even to certain detail-wise, they want it their way, which I like, because that's their day.
Okay.
And it's all about making, I'll get to have my chances to express my art. But that day, I have to express my art to her style.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when we come back, we're going to try to put together an arrangement that is a little bit of me, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello everybody, welcome back. Before we went to commercial, we learned about the different colors and what they mean and the origination of several different arrangements. So now I'm ready to learn how to put together a basic arrangement. So take it away and teach me.
Okay, now the basic is having a vase.
Yeah.
And a water
Yeah.
for the roses or any flowers that we are going to arrange.
Yes.
Have
Earlier
you done this before, or this is
No.
just everything?
As I told you, I just get the flowers and stick them in.
But have you put them in a vase before?
I do all the time.
Okay.
But I never knew that the vase is supposed to mean something along with the arrangement, so I learned something today.
Yes.
Yeah.
You make sure that the vase are cleaned first, because there's no bacteria that kills the flowers early.
Okay.
So it's good that you have clean water and everything. If they have like flower food, the powder, the white powder, you can add. But if not, just make sure that the vase is clean and the water is clean.
Okay.
So to begin with, I don't know if you say red is not your favorite.
We can go for it though.
But we can go for it.
Yes.
So basically, you take, let's put 3, because I like to work with 3 when it's in a skinny vase like this.
Okay.
And then you just measure them one from the other. So what this tells you is that if they're in the same length, then we have to work in creating them.
Okay.
So when you first work with, you have to, if it is rose, you have to cut an angle.
Okay.
So that way it's easier for the rose to drink the water,
Okay.
rather than just cut them
Straight. Okay.
Yeah, so you have to cut an angle, that way they drink much better. And you just insert them, and then later you fix them whichever way that you want it.
Okay.
And then we go for the second, and still do the same, an angle, and then you insert them in there.
Okay.
And there's the third one, which is in the Japanese style in Ikebana. They teach you 3 is good normally, because they have meanings.
Okay.
There's, heaven, there's the moon, the sun, the heaven, and there's us. So this represent life, heaven, and earth.
Okay.
So that combines the 3.
So the more number flowers,
I could go deeper,
Okay.
including death,
Wow. I don't want to
because that's
that
after.
number.
Because everything has the beginning and there's the end.
Yes.
So in Japanese style, Ikebana, they have their beginnings and their ends, and there's life in between.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love to use 3 because of that elements. I like
3
to stay
is my favorite number.
heaven, earth, and as life.
And life. Okay.
Yeah. So we can display them now whichever way you want it.
Okay.
So if you want one from one parallel and one can be up, or something like this, and you can add an accent.
Okay. So when you add the accent to it, does it change the meaning?
No.
No.
It's just an accent. The meaning is your main flower.
Okay.
Yeah, primary flowers are those 3 roses.
Okay.
Yeah. The accent, it gives the artistic ability for you to work, but doesn't change the meaning.
So let's say you have somebody that would go and do multiple numbers and combines different colors. Like here we have red and yellow. So if I was to receive this arrangement, what would be the meaning that I should be receiving from it?
Okay, first, the person who's sending it to you, if you know that person well, you probably can tell the message is what it meant to begin with. But if you don't know the person, let's say that could be love going with the red, and then this one, probably the beginning of the friendship towards leads to love.
Okay.
So that could be,
so but then you have
that person doesn't want to lose either way, either friendship or love. That means he loves you either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I won't be confused.
Yeah.
Okay. And here we just have roses, but let's say we have lilies. What if you get just all lily arrangements? Then, what does that mean? Because a lot of people, when they get married, they tend to use white flowers.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean purity, but
It's tradition.
It's tradition.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to go outside of the box and just use some crazy colors. Does that change who you are as a person and the story that you want to tell?
In the wedding terms, not really. But the colors that you select and that you choose definitely tells your personality. That's any person. Whatever that you put on your wall and everything, it tells what kind of person you are. Yeah. Because it comes from the inside.
Exactly.
So the color choices comes from the inside. Doesn't mean that because you select, red, doesn't mean that, that means that you're deeply passionate.
Absolutely. But then you also do corporate events.
Yes.
So corporate, they tend to usually go with whatever color their logo is.
Yes.
So then how do you stay within that, brand?
The personality doesn't come on that because it's more like social status and people gather around. Normally, when we do the corporate, probably goes seasonal. And they tend to keep the seasonal. If it is, let's say, Christmas party, then red is definitely a Christmas season, and if they want to keep a tradition. But if not, there's blue and there's white silver for Christmas that they can use. Yes. But corporate normally is just like you say, either the logo or the color of the place. We go for decor more. Okay. Yeah.
So if I want to have just like a very fancy arrangement in my home, but I don't necessarily want it to say anything, then how do I go about, using the different textures, flowers, just to say, I'm just having this flower just because?
That comes style, and that's where you use your style ability and says, okay, today, I want to be more artistic and more stylish, and I'm feeling to have this kind of design in my house, and this is what the party theme. So there's always a theme, and what's the party theme that you're working with? Okay. With that theme, you can coordinate the design and everything along with that. Okay.
So you've worked with, one of the first owners of any kind of floral shop here in Washington, D.C., which is history, to becoming your own shop owner here in Maryland. What is the advice that you want to give to, the many young girls or boys looking at you saying, you know what, I never thought of it, I love flowers, I want to pursue this as my passion, as my career? What would you want to say to that?
I say once you are in this becoming a florist journey, they will get to know something that they've never known about themselves. And that is knowing closer to nature and towards if you are, let's say that if you're always cranky and a little things get you, now it doesn't. Because when you work with flowers, of course, close family is still going to irritate you. That doesn't change.
Exactly. But you become more calmer.
As wide, you respect different culture, you want to see different, other than your own culture, you want to mingle with different culture because flower gives you that wide vision of having a different culture mixing together. And that gives you more to love life, to go out in nature. You'll be more scared for nature, and you'll be go green.
Go green. I have plenty of them.
So I think it's good achievement to become a florist, and who has a desire, a boy or a girl, they should achieve it because this is a beautiful art, And then the artists, either they starve or not, they go achieve that.
Exactly.
So I think everybody should achieve whatever they desire.
Exactly. And why do you think it's important to, have flower in our life and in our lifestyle, no matter whether it's big or small? I don't think having a flower has to be because there's a special events going on. Like I told you, I go every Sunday and get it from the farmer's market. What is your encouragement on just people having flowers around all the time?
One, it gives you the psychology part, your mind, because every day when you come in, there's a stress level that you bring from outside indoor. So when you have a coffee table and if there's a flower, when you go to the kitchen, there's a flower, when you go to the restroom, there's a flower, that gives you an easier stress, to be honest with you, because you connect again with nature. You are natural, so you connect with nature. So it's better to bring fresh flower on your table if you can every week. That gives you a freshness to your home. Whether you're a male or a girl, it doesn't matter. And that gives you be close to nature and kind of give you a clear vision. Instead of having maybe a popcorn in there or something, dry thing, to have a flower in there and just go by your day gives you a good clear vision. Do you have any recommendation
on what kind of, flowers bring peace and calmness to people's home, or does it matter?
To me, flower in general bring peace to the world, not only that. Because to me, if I die and I'll go to heaven, I'll see plenty of flowers, and that's how I think. But while we're on earth, God created those flowers. Enjoy them. And flower and people come in different color. So you can't say this color is very nice and that color is not. So it's the same way as for flowers, because they're nature-given colors.
Would you say that having just plants, not necessarily flowers, but plants in your home also have the same effect?
Yes, plants also have the same effect because, one, they can give you oxygen. It's good for the health too, and for your mind, everything. Anything that you bring nature to your home, that gives you a good environment for you. So plant is very good for oxygen purposes and for your mental health as well.
Absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, where do you get your flowers from? Is there any specific country that it's imported from, or?
For America, yes, some of them from South America, from Spanish, or even Holland. The lilies comes from Holland. The roses are. Some of them they come from Ethiopia, but they remain to stay in Europe. They don't come all the way here. So I wish they do. We discussed with so many wholesalers and how they can bring them here, and I think they're still working on it. But mainly that we use, the Holland brings the flowers, and and the Central America brings the roses.
And the one thing that I always ask my guests, no matter who they are, what profession they pursue, is what is your Africa? So what's your Africa in terms of flowers?
Okay. In terms of flowers, first is the beginning of human being, and that's for me Africa. And in terms of flowers, as Africa has this creative art inspire you in so many ways. And Africa is the creativity where I believe that it begins. The creativity gives you an idea of being creative in so many ways, especially when it comes to color. And I think that's where I see Africa in terms of flower, color.
Donna, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and closing my season 2 in the most beautiful way with one of the most things that I love, which is flowers. And hopefully, one day, who knows, when I get married, we'll sit down and have a conversation about how to go build my arrangement.
Yes.
For the rest of you at home, thank you so much for being so supportive and watching Nunu Waco Show for yet another season. And I hope to see you in season 3. See you next time.